Am I the butthole for siding with my boyfriend after he punished my son for asking for money to watch his stepsiblings? I have been with my boyfriend for 2 years. He has 3 kids while I have a 16-year-old son. The other day my 12-year-old stepson fell off the stairs and injured his ankle. I had to get him to the hospital and needed someone to stay with the kids while we were there. My boyfriend told my son to skip workday and stay with and watch his stepbrothers. When we returned, my son asked my boyfriend to pay him for babysitting his kids. I admit my son doesn't have the best relationship with his stepdad or stepsiblings, but my boyfriend and I were shocked by this. My son explained that he had to skip a workday which cost him to lose money and asked my boyfriend to pay him for his time. My boyfriend scolded him harshly and told him that staying home with his stepbrothers isn't babysitting and he deserves no money for it. Plus that skipping one day of work won't do much harm. But my son disagreed and kept arguing with my boyfriend, saying his stepbrothers aren't his responsibility. My boyfriend ended up punishing him and taking away all his electronics as well as canceling his birthday months away. My son fought back talking about how unfair this was and asked me to get involved. I sided with my boyfriend because I really did not appreciate how my son used this family emergency to his advantage and thought he'd get money out of helping the family out. My son didn't like where I stood in this conflict and accused me of favoring my stepkids to stay on my boyfriend's good side while ignoring the mistreatment towards him. I cut the argument and he's become silent ever since. Even refused to eat with us or sit with us. Am I the butthole for agreeing with my boyfriend to punish my son? You the butthole. He's not their stepbrother. You are not married to that man. That's your boyfriend. Your son had to miss out on a day of work, a day of pay, and you couldn't pay him for babysitting? The 12-year-old's father could have gone to the hospital with his son alone, while you stayed home with the rest of the kids. This isn't your son's problem. It doesn't take 2 people for a sprained or broken ankle. That would be enough all on its own for you to be taught, but then you actually took away all of his electronics and cancelled his birthday? He's turning 17. A year after that, he's going to never see or speak to you again if you keep choosing your boyfriend and pretend stepkids over your own son. Edit. I have to thank everyone for the rewards. The first reward came in and it made me beam. It was my first reward on Reddit ever, and the first time I was upvoted more than about 50 times. Never would I have imagined the rewards and votes would keep flooding in. Am I the butthole for refusing to apologize to my mother-in-law after she saw me wearing underwear? This happened yesterday morning at 9 in the morning. I was in the kitchen eating breakfast wearing my regular underwear. Suddenly I heard gasping sounds coming towards me. I turned and saw my mother and sister-in-law yelling about what I was wearing. I was in utter shock and just froze in my seat. My husband was asleep at the time and he must have heard his mom and sister scream because he ran downstairs asking what was going on. His mom started ranting loudly about what an inappropriate scene she and her daughter saw. I'm still sitting in shock when my husband started yelling at me to go put something on quickly. I went upstairs while his mom kept yelling after me, calling me shameless and inappropriate. I then heard my husband say it won't happen again. I was so mad, I put a coat on and went downstairs and started arguing with my mother-in-law. I told her she shouldn't have come over without notice, but turns out my husband told her to come over at 9 to discuss a family crisis. My mother-in-law said I was in the wrong for walking around half naked knowing she has a key and might show up any minute. I told her it's my home and she said it's her son's home too. We argued and my husband told me to knock it off and apologize, but I refused and went back upstairs. Then after his mom and sister left, he called me childish and inappropriate. I tried to explain my side, but he said what's done's done and he promised his mom that I will apologize, but I said I will never apologize and she's gonna have to wait for decades for that. He got upset and called me disrespectful towards my guests. And my mother-in-law was technically a guest, so he's still nagging me for an apology to his mom via email to get this over with. Am I the butthole for not apologizing? I'll apologize if it turns out that I'm here. Edit. Wow, so there are too many comments here and I can't respond to all of them. However, I just saw some info questions, and I'll answer them below. First and foremost, I'm not American. I wish lol. You guys probably figured this out by my horrific grammar lol, but I did my best. Mother-in-law has a copy of the key. After what happened, I told my husband to tell his mom to give the key back, but he said no and that he won't punish her for something I did. Yes, he tends to take her side more often. She's super conservative and does not like me very much. Oh, and one more thing. This country I live in, not my country originally, treats women as possessions. E.g., instead of calling me by my name they would say, Eric's wife, or, his woman, which is rude and offensive. Another e.g. is that there are lots of places women cannot access, and seeing a woman drive can be seen as an unusual thing for them. The reason I married my husband was that he was different from them. Truth be told, I've been feeling overwhelmed and depressed lately, and Mom isn't near so I could visit and vent to her. You could have been sat in the kitchen naked, with a D in your hand. If your mill doesn't like surprises she should knock. NTA.
Am I the butthole for bringing up my sister's failed marriage when she judged my parenting? My sister Julie is recently separated from her husband and she didn't have a place to stay since he kicked her out. The reason is she was caught having an affair. I'm not happy about what she did, but I guess she's still my sister, so for now she's staying here with my 13-year-old nephew. Her oldest is with his dad and doesn't want to see her at all. My daughter is 11, and she's already having her periods. Her mom's not around so she's with me full time. We only have one bathroom so she keeps her pads there because it's more convenient, obviously. Julie's older so I know she has different thinking. She's been super judgy about it. When she first saw them she gave the pads to my daughter and told her, "Those stay in your room, honey, everyone else uses the bathroom too." I asked her WTF? My daughter is allowed to have them there. Julie thinks it's not appropriate to have her pads there because other people could see them. Then she didn't want to hear my argument because I'm a guy and just don't understand. My brothers and cousins are coming over later so we're cleaning up a bit. Again she tells my daughter she should put them in her room for now until everyone leaves. I confronted her about it because it's not even a big deal. But it's because everyone will know she's on her period. And I said there's also toilet paper in the bathroom so everyone knows. People take a shit in this house. What does it matter if they know someone in the house is also having periods? It's not exactly this secret thing nobody knows about. When she said she's just caring about her niece since I'm not being a good father setting a proper example for her, I told her I'm not the one who imploded their kids' lives for effing another man so she has no right telling me what kind of parent I am. And that did not go well. She called me a bunch of names and then she went to go cry in the guest room. I'm still mad about what she said, obviously. She thinks I was a huge butthole for what I said. For bringing up the issues in her marriage right now that she's in a vulnerable place. Maybe because I'm mad it's hard to see why I'd be when what I actually said was the truth. Am I the butthole? Not the butthole at all. I hate stories where people try to vilify women products like that. Periods are completely natural and something that is always going to happen. You are doing an amazing job with your daughter and she has no right to come in and try to do that parenting for you. It's also your house. She has no say in where to put your daughter's things.